There has been a lot of conflict lately, both on and off this app. So I decided to start a series for white people about the tenets of white supremacy. This is the first post in that series because I have some disclaimers. Then later I will post the first video, which will be on perfectionism. I'll be especially focused in my videos on how we as white people can use the tenets to help us in our deconstruction, specifically surrounding conflict and conflict resolution. Now for the disclaimers. Number one, I am not the first one to make a video about this or discuss the tenets of white supremacy. Everything that I know, I have learned from the Black women and Black people that have been saying these things for decades. Centuries, really. One of those people is Rebecca, White Woman Whisperer. She has an entire series available on each of the tenets of white supremacy, and hers are very in-depth. Mine are going to be less in-depth and just coming from a white person perspective, but I would strongly urge everyone, every white person that is wanting to learn more, to go and subscribe and learn from her. Another place I learned from is a website that I have added to the Schlinky in my bio. If you scroll all the way to the bottom, there's a do the work category, and the link is the first one right there. It's a super in-depth website and book that they've made the information available for free, so definitely check that out. I am not a therapist, a psychologist, or in any way educated on these matters by life experience or otherwise. If you go to the website, it will tell you this, but white supremacy culture teaches us to internalize behaviors, attitudes, and ways of life that do not benefit even white people. They harm all of us. And that's made very clear by the discourse that we see commonly on this app and off of it. One of those attitudes is our tendency to weaponize. And I have been so guilty of this myself, along with anything else I choose to talk about. So the goal of learning more about these tenets and the goal of my videos is for us to look inward and dismantle. Not to, as I have done, jump into people's comments or the comments on their posts saying this is white supremacy tenet. That is weaponizing the knowledge and the resource against someone. And if there's one thing I've learned, it's never to trust my immediate reaction to something. Instead, we can pause, look inward, and then collaborate with fellow white people that are on the journey to understand how we may be unconsciously and unintentionally supporting white supremacy culture. What we should not be doing is going in and telling other white people how problematic they are because of the same tenets that we also have internalized. I think those are all of my disclaimers, but I may have missed something. Now I'm going to give a little bit of information as an overview. And these would be especially important to keep in mind in light of conflict and conflict resolution, calling in versus calling out. White supremacy wants us to attack each other and look at other people as the problem, not ourselves. So when we are arguing and attacking each other, most times we are failing to see the actual problem, which in my experience boils down to a tenet of white supremacy every single time. It needs us to question whether there is enough, whether we are enough. Loss of self. It needs us to have these identity crises. I can't possibly deconstruct perfectionism because I've always identified as a perfectionist. That's just who I am as a person. I have objectivity because of my neurodivergence and my autism, so I can't possibly deconstruct objectivity. Who would I be without worship of the written word? I'm a writer. You get the point. And fear. White supremacy needs us to be afraid that if we interrupt it, we will lose. So if we name whiteness, name racism, primarily in ourselves, accept and take accountability when we cause harm, or allow another person to be centered, we will lose in some way. That's what it wants us to think. So that could be our status on social media or otherwise, finances, our job, relationships, our life purpose. The list can go on. Okay, this is already too long, so I decided I'm gonna do a part 2 of the overview of the tenets. Because unlike Rebecca, I have not learned to be concise. Working on it. Okay, bye.